Majo John Madden Juanito, they call me in Mexico, in my little tiny house at the edge of the Acoma Pueblo. I am one of the world's all-time great lovers of dogs, and having been a professional dog walker and spent a lot of time volunteering at the animal shelter in Asheville, North Carolina, walking dogs there. And my last three dogs each became quite stunning dogs who were essentially never on leash. Pancho spent a lot of her life with me in the town of Asheville, North Carolina, where dogs wandering off leash would get locked up. The pound would pick them up. They'd spend 30 days at the animal shelter, and if they weren't adopted, claimed or adopted, they were destroyed. Upwards of 80% suffered that fate. During my 16 years in Asheville, 4 of those years were spent in 2 different places in the country, out in the mountains, where dogs had a normal, natural life, almost no dogs ever on leash. And they had a wonderful life. The fate of dogs in the country and city dogs are so dramatically different. Most dogs who live in the city never get off leash. Asheville was surrounded by incredible mountain nature and tended to be inhabited by people who loved the mountains and would go to the mountains. So dog owners there, a lot of them would specifically take their dogs to places, mountain trails where they could run free. So they would get chances to be free. But in most cities in the US and Mexico, many fewer dog pets in Mexico. But in the big cities, some of them you can see a lot of dog pets, and most of those never get to run free, never get to have a normal dog life, don't get the chance to become real dogs. I say the way a dog becomes intelligent is to make their own decisions about where to go, to experiment and see what happens. Dogs who never get a chance, and most of those city dogs, when the people take them for walks, it's the person's walk. The person's going for a walk for exercise, and the dog is allowed to tag along. Some really thoughtful owners let their dogs dawdle and investigate and go off on little side trips, but that's kind of the exception. Acumal, the little pueblo where I am now, I'm guessing upwards of 80% of the dogs are off leash all the time. And maybe there's something like 20 dogs who roam on Main Street, which is not a thoroughfare. It doesn't go anywhere except up into the jungle. So there's a low speed limit and not a lot of stranger traffic going through there. It's mostly people who know Acamal and know to expect dogs crossing the street, dogs running down the street, dogs sleeping on the side on the street, not on the sidewalk, next to the sidewalk. So they learn. A friend who was visiting from Playa del Carmen the other day, watching one of the dogs cross the street, was horrified. They're going to get killed. I think it doesn't happen very often. These dogs are smart. They watch. They know what they're doing. I've known a lot of dog owners who adore their dog, especially because they give them a wonderful hero's welcome when they come home from work. What they don't factor in, their self-absorption, and that's the human predicament, is we tend to be absorbed with ourselves. The world revolves around us. What they don't factor in is that dog has a miserable life, spends 8 to 10 hours a day depressed, alone, lonely. They're social animals, and they would give Frankenstein a hero's welcome because it means getting out of the house and not being alone. People let it go to their ego. Wow, he loves me so much, I must be great. No, it doesn't necessarily mean you're great at all. It may mean that you're an oppressive, lousy dog owner who's unconscious of what a lousy life your dog lives, and that dog is happy to see you. When I lived in the country, my dogs would run. It was Pancho mostly in the country. Would run to see me when I'd drive in, but they had been out all day anyway. I get so impatient when people think it's the normal thing for dogs to be on a leash all the time. An awful lot of dogs deserve a better owner. They do. I've met many dogs that I wanted to kidnap if I thought I could give them a better life. Now, my dogs for the last well, something's stirring up the dogs on my street. The dogs are a pack on this street, and they all get along. They roam up and down the street all day. Some of them are being fed by somebody. They kind of belong to somebody. And a strange dog comes in down the street, they hear about it, or a strange person. None of them genuinely aggressive. I've met very few dogs in my life that were genuinely aggressive. It's the exception. You almost have to create that in them. Yeah, for a lot of people, their dog is an ornament, a badge, a sign of the good life, a sign that you're a good person, that you love dogs, and they don't think enough about the dog. In Asheville, I lived in a seniors building. In one corner of that building, there was an office of a dog trainer, Kim Brophy, who wrote a very fine book I recommend to anybody who wants to be a good dog parent, called Meet Your Dog. And right before the COVID, right before I left Asheville, I interviewed Kim. It was supposed to be like 8 minutes, but she gave me 15 because we had such a great conversation. And what she said was, I do not train dogs. I do not train people how to train their dogs. I coach people on how to have an authentic relationship with their dog. And by that she meant get curious about who this dog is. What are their potentials? What do they need to thrive? Have a relationship with them like you would with a person. Now that's almost incomprehensible in Mexico, where people don't regard dogs very highly in general. But I know that dogs are a stunning species. They're really smart, really loyal, really devoted. To me, they're a gift from God because they love with such a pure heart that if we get to really know a dog, we learn about love. Yeah. Okay, that's my spiel about the natural state of dogs and why I adore dogs so much and why I'm like a pig in shit right now that I've got 4 dogs hanging out with me in my yard here. My landlord had the gate closed. He said, don't leave the gate open, dogs will come in and shit. Well, mostly no signs of dog shit in the yard. The one day I said it's never happened, I looked down, I had dog shit on my shoe. So it happens, I have to look. But I keep that gate open because I want the dogs to come visit with me, and they've learned that they can get kibble from me, and some of them are hungry. Mostly, very few dogs in this town are skin and bones. They are getting fed some, and almost enough. But they find out they're getting petted. These dogs, 2 of them, oh my God, do they want to be petted? Because dogs naturally, that they need that to thrive. Humans have touch needs. We need lots of skin contact, lots of touch in order to thrive, and dogs even more so, even more so. So right now, the dog I have given the name King, and the dog I have given the name Negro, because that's what they call black dogs in Mexico. Oh, they just can't get enough. Can't get enough. And because I'm a lonely guy, traveling 4 years with just a dog in the last year and a half without that even, I'm a lonely guy. I'm an extrovert, and I'm developing good friendships around here, and that's after 3 months in this pueblo. So I expect, I just know that's going to keep growing. But to have these dogs hanging with me, I love it. I love it. Yeah. Okay.